Chelsea 3, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. It's the second 3-0 victory in a row and the second clean sheet in a row for Graham Potter's men. And it's our third clean sheet of the season. And a lot of threes, but certainly not in relation to the player ratings. Not a single 3 on this player ratings for you here today, apart from, of course, in the formation of 4-3-3. It depends how you look at it. It certainly wasn't that. But let's get straight into it. Literally a fantastic bit of game, bit of play from Graham Potter. I was so nervous coming into this. I woke up very, very confident. But then seeing the starting lineup, I was like, oh my God, 7 changes. Are you having a laugh? I know we've got AC Milan, but we just beaten them 3-0. They're not going to have too many people back in time for that Tuesday game. I thought it was a little bit too much in terms of change in formation. We know, of course, Graham Potter is known for his switching play. I thought this might have been a bit too drastic, but I've been sorely proven wrong. And I hold my hands up wholeheartedly. Starting, of course, with the man between the sticks, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Another solid performance from him. He gets a 7. I think he got a 6.5 in the last game, but still, it's this game. Couple of great saves, a bit shaky distribution. Made me worried once or twice, but overall having a great time at the moment, especially in competing for that #1 spot between the sticks, between himself and Mendy. In the back 4, of course, we had Azpilicueta, Chalobah, Koulibaly, Cucurella, Chalobah, and Azpilicueta. 3 new additions to that back line. Azpilicueta, a 7.5 for me. I thought for the first 50 minutes, first half especially, yellow card aside, Azpilicueta, probably his best performance for Chelsea for a long, long time. I'm a massive fan of Dave. I think he's fantastic. I love everything he's done for the club. Towards the beginning of this season, or during the beginning of this season, he's had some stinkers. He really has. And I really was one of those people that thought his time's done. It really is done. But today he showed he really has still got it. Again, you could argue it's against 18th place, managerless Wolverhampton Wanderers, but still a great performance from him nonetheless. I'm actually surprised he didn't get a goal or at least an assist today. He was that close at times. Chalobah, a 7. He did well covering Thiago Silva. Of course, Thiago Silva was not sorely missed, but still his presence was certainly missed. The Chalobah, he held his own. He did a great performance. Again, not really anyone in this side has done too badly. And I can say now ahead of time that no one really hits a 6.5 on this occasion. I know a lot of people are a bit harsh, but still. Everyone seems to have pulled their own weight in some way or another. Koulibaly, another one, 7.5 for me. I think he just did a bit more than Chalobah. Solid performance today. Kept Traore especially at bay, but also kept Diego Costa really, really quiet. I'm sure Chalobah did that as well. But in terms of Koulibaly, was just way more present in the game. Cucurella, 7.5. I thought manic as usual, runs around like a headless chicken, but in all the best ways possible. In some games, he can be a bit like, what's your purpose? What do you do? But in this game, he was here, he was there, he was every single place you could want him to be. Cucurella, a solid performance from him. We've seen better, but again, just a good performance from him all around. And certainly giving Chilwell still a run for his money. Despite, I know there's a bit of a mismatch in terms of people think that Chilwell hasn't had too good of a performance since he's returned. He is still recovering from injury, still not 100%. And I personally think that Chilwell's doing really, really well since he's returned. But again, Cucurella in this game, solid, absolutely solid. Jorginho, of course, it's Jorginho. Not fun to watch, and was lucky not to get sent off with his challenge on Nunes, if all things considered. If there's a single player between maybe Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek that could earn a 6.5, it was probably Jorginho just for that tackle alone. Nearly got us in the mud there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we were still 2-0 up at that point. So I think we would have been all right. But yeah, Jorginho, silly challenge. Obviously Nunes kicked out, but still just not the best from him, in my opinion. Moving on, again, lost his cheek. Again, it could have easily been a 6.5. Nowhere near as good a performance for him as it was against AC Milan, but still a solid performance from him. A few things you could argue. Many could argue probably maybe even a 7.5, but still a noticeably different performance from him as opposed to the AC Milan game. Gallagher, best performance. Best performance for him in a Chelsea shirt since he's been back. Again, the first 2 games, got sent off in one, had a shocker in another, and then, of course, scored a screamer against Crystal Palace in his last game in the Premier League, and ultimately won us that game with that screamer. Player of the season for Crystal Palace last season. A lot of you must forget that Gallagher is a really technically good player. He's absolutely fantastic when he's on form. And in the first 2 games, for sure, completely out of his depth. He found his footing against Crystal Palace and ultimately scored that goal. And then arguably his best performance, no, not even arguably, it is his best performance in a Chelsea shirt today. And he's earned an 8. I think he was absolutely everywhere he needed to be. You could argue a 7.5. You could maybe even argue an 8.5. I think that would be a bit pushing it, but still an 8 for him. Fantastic performance from Kai Havertz, from Conor Gallagher. Kai Havertz, speaking of which, a 7 from him. Of course, his second goal of the season following his goal against West Ham. A great finish. Really tricky finish from him to do. Lofted it over Jose Sarr brilliantly, elegantly. Fantastic assist from Mason Mount with the pass from Chalobah down the line and over the top. Picked out Havertz brilliantly. Havertz had arguably a lot more to do than the assist gave him credit. And Jose Sarr in no man's land ultimately, and it was just a fantastic finish. However, besides the goal was a fairly typical number 9 appearance from Kai Havertz. I think Armando Broja should have been on from the start. Again, I tweeted out before the game, if Armando Broja doesn't start against an 18th place, managerless, underperforming Wolverhampton Wanderers, when does he start? Because if not now, when? He came on. I'll get into that in a bit more detail, but he scored a brilliant goal at that. But yeah, Havertz, a 7. Not a bad performance from him. Fairly elusive at times. And again, Christian Pulisic. I missed his goal, I can't lie. I obviously saw it back. Fantastic finish from him. Great assist. Yeah, just... what can I say? I missed his goal. Could have scored more from from everything else that we saw, but it still managed a great finish. Again, I might be being a bit harsh in terms of Christian Pulisic, but I think a 7 is probably right, especially with previous performances. But then you could argue that I could say that for Conor Gallagher. So I would say a 7, maybe a 7.5 for Christian Pulisic. It's more just his mentality, his attitude just does my Sweden. It really does. Notable mentions, of course, well, only one really. Of course, Kovacic got an assist as well for this goal for Armando Broja. I would just say Broja deserves way more credit, way more time. A lot of people saying, start Havertz because at least he can score goals over... Broja hasn't had a starting performance for Chelsea yet. He's finally scored, and what an emphatic finish it was. What a fantastic finish it was from Broja. This is one of the reasons that he should be on as a number 9. He's a number 9 player. For those reasons alone, he scores goals like that. He's done it for Southampton. He will do it way more times for Chelsea if given the chance. And then, of course, undoubtedly, the man of the match today, 8.5. I could go higher, probably shouldn't though. You could also say an 8 for Mount. But listen, 2 fantastic assists from him. I predicted in my match preview that this would be his coming out match in terms of getting his numbers up and running for the season, and he did just that. Fantastic. He could have scored as well today, but 2 brilliant assists from him. He's up and running. It's fantastic to see. You love to see it. Mason Mount in the money, and yeah, with that said, literally a fantastic performance all round. As I said, a little bit shaky before the game started. I think a lot of us, when we're during the watch along on Chelsea Fan TV, we're all a little bit shaky. But we came out on top. Another 3-0 victory, 2 in a row now, and our 3rd clean sheet this season. Graham Potter's men providing the magic. 2 games in a row. We've got AC Milan at the San Siro on Tuesday. Be sure to tune in for the watch-alongs. I host those here on Chelsea Fan TV, so if you haven't watched the watch-alongs for those from Chelsea Fan TV before, then what better way to start than a match against AC Milan at the San Siro? A massive, massive game in the Champions League in the 4th game of that group stage. But again, listen, fantastic performance from Chelsea. My name's Harry. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications to be notified of any future content here on the channel. And with that said, up the Chelsea and peace.